ready for this one. So I've been kind of sitting on this guy for a while, but, due to it being pretty much October, I figured I'd do reviews on some more, horror-type characters in a way, or scary characters. So what better way than to start with Carnage himself? So, of course, first we're going to take a look at the packaging for this guy. Now, he is a premium Bandai, so it's going to be a little bit different packaging as opposed to the regular figuarts packaging in some ways, but you got a very nice look at Carnage here on the front of the box. The box is the one thing I really do like about this figure. It's probably one of the only things I like about this figure. Surprising, right? I'm a big Carnage fan, but I don't know, this figure doesn't do much for me. But you got the logo at the bottom there, nice Tamashii Nations kind of sticker there at the top. Got this really nice kind of like chrome lettering that I really do like. Got a nice look at Carnage there on the box. I really do love this chrome lettering. I don't know, it just sticks out. They didn't have to do it, but they did it anyway. It does just look cool for some weird reason, but got more looks at the figure there on the back. Nothing too crazy going on. He does look cool, but I don't know. We'll get into that. But that's pretty much it for the box, so let's take a look at him. So, here is Carnage himself. Now, I did paint him up and made him look as close to the movie as I possibly could with this guy. Because the way he came just was not really all that great as far as the paint goes. Anyway, let's actually take a look at how he came. Yeah, I was not fucking with the red or even those yellow teeth. Ugh. Yeah, that original look that he came looking like was just not good at all. It was just so bad, and I don't know, he just needed a lot. For one, the thing I added for this guy, since we're going over the details, is I did a full body gloss coat on him with some basically gloss finish to make him look all slimy and gross looking like he did in the movie. And the second thing I did add to as well is the shading in the muscle areas, mainly just using black paint and just kind of lightly kind of painting some of the seams just to give him some definition, because he really heavily needed that really bad. This figure does not come painted that good or with any definition at all. It kind of just is the bare plastic with some areas painted. But as you can see, the sculpt work all around is good. The feet are actually pretty inaccurate. That's one thing you'll notice with this figure as opposed to my Marvel Legends Carnage review. That this figure is extremely inaccurate in the body in a lot of ways. One of them being he's way too muscular in my opinion. I think they needed to tone down a little bit. This whole chest area is just inaccurate. The feet are inaccurate. The hands to a certain extent are inaccurate. Yeah, these arms, I don't know. Those are like Venom-sized arms. I mean, I know Carnage was still, kind of stronger and bigger in the movie, but he was not this muscular from what I remember. The back things here are inaccurate. They're still like painted orange because I didn't go over those. Mainly due to the fact that I wasn't going to go too all out for this guy. I just wanted to make him at least remotely accurate to the movie. He has a lot of black vein work on him, which honestly I think is pretty inaccurate. I know he had black vein work on him, but it wasn't nearly to the extent that this figure goes for. It's just a bit much. And I don't know, like it's a good looking figure, don't get me wrong. Love the sculpt, and of course the head sculpt here was really nice. I had to paint the kind of portion that you see that are black on here black because they originally were like a weird like red, like a weird gradient of red, and it just did not fit. It was supposed to be black, not like a weird red. And of course I repainted the teeth white and just gave them a heavy wash on there to make them all dirty and gross like in the movie. Then, of course, I painted up the little veins on the eyes and everything like that, and heavily glossed over the head to make sure that it was nice and all glossed up, just like how it is in the movie, just to make sure he was as accurate as possible, because here on this channel, accuracy is key. at least in my opinion. But, I mean, it's not a bad head sculpt. It's definitely the head sculpt I prefer out of the two that you get. But, I don't know. Even then, like, this figure just... There's a lot of inaccuracies, and his proportions are just a little off, in my opinion. I don't know. I feel like they definitely should have, maybe waited until the movie came out to make this guy, because I feel like they just kind of rushed it out. To be honest, he actually kind of looks like the promotional statue that got leaked before the movie came out. That's honestly what this kind of reminds me of. Wish I had a picture of it to throw up here, but I don't know. Like, if you guys have seen that promotional statue, you probably know what I'm talking about. But I mean, this thing, it looks better with the paint that I added to it. It definitely looks better. But nothing can change how inaccurate that sculpt is. Aside from being a little bit inaccurate, he does come with a pretty decent amount of accessories. Straight out of the box, you will get him with these hands, which are, they're sculpted pretty nice. They're not too bad. They're a little bit inaccurate, at least from what I can tell, because, the Marvel Legends one got released, and that figure was extremely accurate. So going based off of that figure and the Hot Toys, which I do have also, these are a little bit inaccurate. He also comes with these hands. See a difference between these hands and the first hands I showed you? If your answer was no, then you're correct, because they're almost not that different. So the hands he comes with are a little bit more relaxed, while these other hands that he has are only slightly more open. Wow. Such a range of possibilities, am I right? Yeah, these hands are pretty much technically the same. And this figure does also come with a pair of fists, which is kind of weird. I don't remember him using fists in the movie, but they're sculpted nice. As for heads, he does, of course, come with this head, which I have shown you. Sculpted pretty nice. I really do like the overall shape to it. It's a little bit brighter as opposed to the body, but all in all, it's a pretty decent head. Then, of course, you do also get a open mouth head with the tongue out. Would have been nice if you could take the tongue out and just have, an open mouth head, because, well, I know a lot of people probably won't be displaying with the tongue out just due to the fact that Carnage is not really known to really use or have a tongue, which was a really weird change for the movie. I still don't understand it, but it's a decently sculpted head, and of course I applied the same techniques for the first head as I did with this one. Teeth are changed and painted. The eyes, of course, had the vein work that I tried to do with it. This was my first attempt with the vein work. Marvel Legends coming soon. So you're probably wondering, where's his weapons? Because Carnage is known for weapons. Well, here's the kicker. He doesn't really come with a lot. He has these two, which are designated actual parts for his hands. And they kind of suck. They're kind of bland. They're kind of boring. They're the only accessory that you can put on his hands, technically, but at least with having it look at least normal in some sort of a way, because they do actually have a somewhat hand sculpt on them. But I mean, they're just kind of okay, and just bringing in the figure here, I already took the hands off, but you just kind of take them and you just peg them into the wrist pegs there, and they just peg right on in. But, they're really nothing special. They're just these, random knife blade hands that, again, also, he didn't use in the movie. These are also kind of inaccurate. So, it's almost like Bandai just kind of, just chose to do whatever with this guy, I guess. I mean, they're kind of cool, but, at the same time, inaccurate and just kind of boring. I would have expected something a little bit more fun. On top of those accessories, he also does have his tendrils that plug into his back, which is another problem within itself. The one thing I can say that are good about these is, they do articulate pretty well for the most part, and each of them have their own individual thing and weapon that you can put on. You can also put all these weapons and interchange them between the tendrils, although I don't know why you would, because there's really not that much variation you can really do with this guy, which kind of sucks. But you can also put these weapon ends on his hands too, but they would look still a little bit weird. He does have this barbed one, which is pretty cool. Probably my favorite out of them all. He has this one, which I think is a little bit weird. It almost looks like a dinosaur hand or a dinosaur foot or something. It's just a little bit off-putting. He has this one, which kind of sucks. It's just a weird-looking kind of blade. It's a little bit odd-looking, in my opinion. It's not too crazy. Yeah, I don't know. There wasn't really a lot of imagination with this guy, which kind of sucks. Even if they were just doing their own thing, they could have, done a little bit more imagination. But anyway, you do have those, so those are cool. And how to actually attach these tendrils. It's, again, pretty simple. You just kind of peg them into his back. So grabbing, one of the tendrils here on first. You saw those big 4 whole things on his back that are kind of obnoxious. Yeah, you just kind of peg them on in. And that's another thing I just really do want to say real quick right off the bat. Why did you have to have these, 4 individual, really big kind of whole things on his back? If he didn't want to use the tendrils, he would be stuck with these whole things on his back. And, he kind of looks like a xenomorph with those things on. So definitely would probably prefer to keep the tendrils on, but at the same time, it's kind of eh. But just plugging in every single one here, it's pretty simple, just plugging it on in. They plug in pretty easily, and you don't have to be afraid to break a peg or nothing. But there he is, and he looks more or less like a carnageized or type of venomized type of iron spider more than anything. He definitely could have used a lot more tendrils. This guy's accessories definitely leave a lot more to be desired. So, with the accessories out of the way, let's talk articulation. Because, the one thing this guy does really excel at is articulation, but of course we all knew that with Bandai. So, of course, the head can look up pretty damn far. You can look down pretty decently about that far, and you can try and scoot it down a little bit. He does have this kind of double neck kind of joint going on. You can spin him a full 360. Again, that double neck joint there. He does have a butterfly joint that goes forward about that far, back not so much. But you can get a lot of range out of that. The arm can go up about that far. And you can get a full 360 rotation out of it. He does have a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, a hinge and swivel at the wrist. Now, as far as the torso goes, he has a pretty decent range, I'd say. You can go all the way around. It is on a double ball joint. And, of course, with the bottom half of the waist, too, as well. You can crunch forward about that far. Can't really crunch back all that much because, again, these things are in the way if they just didn't have them there. He does have some waist movement, too, as well. You can swivel it with that joint, too, as well. He does have the booty articulation, much like SH Figuarts Spider-Man had. But the leg, you can get to actually kick up about that far and back pretty much all the way, which is very nice. And, of course, there is a thigh rotation. And you do have a pretty decent split. And he does have double jointed knees that go pretty far. Decent ankle pivot there. Foot can go up about that far. Down pretty far. And he does have a toe bend as well. So he's pretty decently, articulated. It's nothing too crazy. But, of course, these tendrils, too, on the back here are pretty articulated. You can move them around here on hinge and swivels. Same thing with the second part there and the other part on the end where the weapon parts are. So he's pretty decently articulated, yet again. I expect nothing less from Bandai. But at the same time, it definitely would have been really nice if those holes were not on his back. But with that being said, let's do a post test. So let's get down to scale. So I also hope that you guys could enjoy that pose test as much as possible, because this guy is hard to pose, which is surprising considering the fact that he's a figuarts figure and they're very posable. I couldn't get this guy in a lot of poses. A lot of times he just didn't want to go in those poses. He kept either falling over or he just didn't have a lot for him to actually pull off a good pose, which kind of sucks because Carnage is one of those characters that you want in good poses. But anyway, starting off here, of course, we have him next to the Marvel Legends Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and yeah, this Carnage is a pretty big guy. Even next to the figuarts Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, he's still quite a big guy. Not really too big on how this is all working here, but yeah, I mean, I guess, work with what you got if you got this figure, but taking those guys aside, we'll bring in the Marvel Legends movie Venom, the Tom Hardy Venom. This is a great figure, hence why I didn't decide to get the figuarts one, because I like the Marvel Legends one a lot, actually, and, it's a really good Venom figure. But, comparing these two next to each other, I'd say it's about as accurate as it's going to get for the movie. If you do have the figuarts Carnage and you want to have the Marvel Legends pair up next to him, I think it works out pretty well. Not too bad, but still, this Carnage is just inaccurate. But you want to know what Carnage is pretty accurate, though? The Marvel Legends, which, surprisingly, this is one of the very few or many times that Marvel Legends has actually outdone themselves and done better than the figuarts, which is pretty crazy when you really think about it, because that Marvel Legends figure is just perfect in every way possible. Accessories, accuracy, I would say paint, but, technically I painted mine up to be a lot better than what it normally was painted like. But there are a lot of things that the Marvel Legends one does that the figuarts does not. And honestly, it looks like the figuarts one is smaller than the Marvel Legends, which is kind of crazy. I didn't even realize that. But there are a lot of things which I do want to go over between these guys. That's why I saved this comparison for last. There are a lot of things that this Marvel Legends figure does that I would have loved to see figuarts do. Like, just coming up here just real quick, just to point at least one thing out here as far as the body goes, is definitely the sculpt work. The sculpt work here on the Marvel Legends one is much like the Hot Toys one, which is very accurate. And you could probably see, too, as well with the vein work. The figuarts one just went way too crazy with that black vein work, while the Marvel Legends one toned it down and made it a lot more, closer to what it was shown in the movie. Even with the tendrils on the back and, of course, the weapons and everything, those are a lot more accurate. And surprisingly enough, much like my Ultimate Spider-Man video, a spider has showed up. That just shows to show you how professional this channel is. But, yeah, I mean, you can take a look right there on that chest. All of that black, vein work is a lot more toned down on the Marvel Legends one. The Marvel Legends one is very accurate with that. Because in the movie, he did have the black kind of squiggles on him like he does in the comics, but they were a lot more toned down than what the figuarts one is putting out here. And you can just tell, even of course, with the feet in the Marvel Legends one is a lot more accurate than the SH figuarts. I don't know what figuarts was doing with this Carnage figure. I don't know. They were just doing whatever they wanted to do. Even with the arms and legs here, much skinnier compared to the beefy, bulky, almost Rob Liefeld proportions on the figuarts one. Yeah, definitely prefer the Legends. If you're looking for the most definite, 6-inch type, 1/12 scale Carnage, definitely go with the Marvel Legends one as opposed to the figuart. So, as far as these final thoughts go, there's going to be lots of negatives and some positives. So I think we should go over the positives first. So, I mean, he comes painted pretty decently well, I guess. There are some problems with the paint. I know that sounds like a negative thing, but of course, there are a lot of inaccuracies. But I do, of course, like the articulation. I do, of course, like the sculpt work that has gone into this guy. I really do like the heads. I think those are very nice. But that's as much as I can really say about him. Now for the negatives. Those tendril joints are super loose. He's a nightmare to pose. He's very heavy in a lot of areas. And a lot of it really is just that upper body. I mean, I don't know why they made him so incredibly buff in certain areas for no given reason. He was not like that in the movie. No clue. He definitely could have came with a lot more accessories, or at least more accurate accessories that would have made him look a little bit better in poses, of course, and able to give him more poses for that matter. The tendrils on the back, I know I'm going to keep talking about them. I do like the weapons on every end, except for like two of them. They just seem a little bit unimaginative, because clearly this figure being inaccurate, they kind of just made something random. But yeah, like, I just don't know what they were thinking when they just decided to just not really give him that much accessories. It definitely feels like this figure was, just taken straight from concept art. And as you can see here, I'm using reused footage just because of the fact that I can't get him in any more poses, which really sucks. So I have to reuse footage here just to finish off my final thoughts. I mean, overall, I guess he's cool, but I don't know, just lack of accessories, too muscular, very inaccurate, kinda But as far as it goes, he's okay, I guess. And with the lack of accessories, he has two hands that are literally almost just the same. But that's pretty much it about this figure. He's okay. It's about a 50, like a 25-75 mixed bag. But anyway, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.